Hello students of class 12. I am Pratap Kumar Roy. So today we are going to upload the last video lessons from the chapter Kings and the Chronicles. For it, so we are going to start from the page 242. Okay, so let's start the chapter. The imperial households. The term harem is obviously often used to refer the domestic world of the Mughals. Now, this term harem is a Persian word, so that means a sacred place or holy place. And Mughal household, consisting of the emperor's wives, concubines, relatives, mother, stepmother, foster mother, sister, daughter, daughter-in-law, aunt, children, etc. And definitely servants and the slaves also. Because during the Mughal times, polygamy was practiced rapidly and widely in the Indian subcontinent. So, during the Mughal era, the Rajput clans as well as the Mughals, they started to make alliances on the basis of the marriage. Okay, it was a way of cementing political relationship and forging alliances. Now, regarding these alliances, gift of the territories, okay, gift of the high sounding titles were given, and Mughals were able to form a vast kinship network that linked them to important groups and helped to hold a vast empire together. That's why they started the this kind of alliances. So what was there in the Mughal household? Definitely almost 1,000 peoples were living in the Mughals palaces. So basically two type of the wives were present. Point number one, who came from the royal families, they were known as the Begums, and other wives by force or by lower caste society who came, they were known as the Aghas. Okay. Now, Begums definitely received huge amount of the cash and valuables, dowries, and high status. Not only in the Mughal palaces, even in front of the Mughal courts, also even greater attention they got. But the concubines means that they are also the lower sections of the Aghas. They got the lowest positions according to the females hierarchies in the Mughal household. Followed, point number one is Begums, or point number two Aghas, point number three concubines. Now they all the wives receive monthly allowances in cash, then supplemented gifts according to their status. Even sometimes kings or Mughal emperor also came here to spend time with them according to the will of the Mughal emperors. Now, apart from the wives, numerous male and the female servants also were working. Okay, like different kind of tasks were performed. Maybe cookings, maybe cleanings, maintaining, and different kind of things. Even servants required to do work in the Mughal household kind of skills, tact, and intelligences. Because for the internal and the external lives of the Mughal household, that kind of things were required. So guards, servants, and also the agents for women dabbling in the commerce. Now, for examples, Nur Jahan. Nur Jahan married to the Jahangir, but Jahangir always busy, regarding his other activities. So that's why Nur Jahan, on behalf of Jahangir, ruled the India. Okay. Even Shahjahan daughters, Jahanara and Rosanara, they also enjoyed annual income, and it was quite equals, to the imperial mansabdars. Even Jahanara received revenues from the port city of the Surats. So that means she was so rich uh, within the Mughal emperors. Even control over many resources also enabled them that to commission buildings, gardens. There are several examples like Jahanara participated, you know, to build the Shahjahan new capital, Shahjahanabad. Right now, it is in the Delhi. Okay, and a kind of double-storied caravanserai, with a courtyard, garden. She was also engaged. The Bazaar of the Chandni Chowk, Shahjahanabad, also designed by the Jahanara. So, a very interesting book we have who gave us a glimpse into the domestic world of the Mughals is the Humayun, which was written by the Gulbadan Begum. Gulbadan Begum actually was a sister of the Humayun and Akbar's aunt, definitely. So, Gulbadan Begum could write fluently in the Turkish language and Persian language as well. So that's why when Akbar commissions Abul Fazl to write down the histories of the Akbar, he requested to his auntie that to help the Abul Fazl to give the information about his great grandfather, grandfather and father. Okay. So next we'll talk about the imperial officials in the Mughal administration, the recruitment and the ranks. Definitely, Mughal chronicles like Akbarnama, Bastanama, gave a bequeath thought visions of the empire. Okay, in which different agencies rest almost solely with the emperors, while the rest of the kingdom had been ported as following his order. Followed, the nobility was recruited from the diverse ethnic and religious background. Basically, some nobilities came from the Iran, some nobilities came from the Turkmenistan, even Afghanistan also, and from the Rajput clans also we have found Rajput and Maratha. Why they did this? Mughal did this because they wanted to ensure that no faction was large enough to challenge the authorities of the state. Okay. Now the officers, the courts of the Mughal were described as a boutique of the flowers or guldasta. Why? Because during the Akbar imperial services, Turanian and Iranian nobles were the present because from the earlier time they came here and they dominated politically some parts, and many had accompanied also Humayun when Humayun returned from the Iran or the Parso to India. They also migrated with the Humayuns. Now, two ruling groups with the Indian origin also entered into the imperial service. Point number one, you have understood. Now, point number two, two ruling groups of the Indian origin. 15 from the 1560s onwards. Point number one, Rajput. Point number two, Indian Muslim, who were known as the Shekhjadas. Now, Rajput chief Raja Varmal of the Kachwara of Amber, whose daughter married to Akbar. I have told you this was a kind of alliances, political alliances. So that's why members of the Hindu caste, inclined toward the education and accountancy were also promoted. Now, regarding the Akbar's empire, we have not only seen the Raja Varmal, even the finance minister Raja Todarmal also belonged to the Khatrid caste. So these ruling groups of the India joined the imperial service of the Mughals. Even Iranians who came from in search of the fortune or migrated with the Humayun, Iranian also gained a high officer, officer ranking post on the Jahangir also. Okay, like Nur Jahan. Nur Jahan was the most influential wife of the Jahangir. Okay, she was also an Iranian. Even Aurangzeb appointed Rajput to the high positions. So under him, Aurangzeb wanted to defeat the Maratha, but he never been succeeded. Okay. Now many government offices held ranks. Rank means mansabdar. I have told you mansabs, comprising two numerical designations like the Jat. Jat means what does mean the Jat? Jat is the indicator of the positions. Okay. Suppose you are the first student, rank one student in the class. So that means you are one Jat. Okay. Now the salary of the Jat was known as the Mansabdar. Like you got the stipend 7,000. So that means you are 7,000 Mansabdar. And and according to that, you are judge number one. Okay. Now, what does mean the Savar? Savar means how many horsemen you have. You have to maintain the all the requirements in services. And during the 17th centuries, Mansabdars of 1,000 zar, 1,000 means salary, jat means the rank, or above rank of the nobles also maintain the savar. That means how many numbers of the horses you have, according to you got the salary. Okay, understood. Then the nobles also participated in the military campaigns. Their armies also included with the Mughals and served as an officers of the empire into the provinces. Okay, and each military commander who recruited, equipped, and trained the main striking arms of the Mughal army, that was the cavalry. Even the troops means a group of army, maintained superior horses, which brought from the Arabian area. Okay, and all the horses marked by some specific colors. It was known as a dag. That means these horse belong to the Mughals. No one can could tell this horse is mine. Okay, so emperor personally received or reviewed the change in rank, titles, and office, definitely, because all the final decisions will be taken by the emperors. Now, for the members of the nobility, imperial services actually was a way to hold the power, wealth, and highest position reputation. Okay, if a person wishing to join the service petition through the noble, that means suppose noble said to the emperor that please, he is my man, so please recruit him. So then they had to present which to the emperor. What does mean the which? It is a petition presented by a nobleman to the emperor. Recommendation letters. Followed. The Mir Bakshi, who was a main finance ministers of the Akbar, who stood in open court on the rights of the emperor. That means he is too important for the Akbar, and presented all the candidates in front of the Mughals or the Mughal emperor. Then, as per the requirements, as per the qualifications, they were recruited. So in that way, recruitment also been there. Like there were two other important ministers, Diwani Ala. Okay, Diwani Ala means the finance minister. Sadar Sadar, that the ministers department of the grants, granting to temples, to the masjid or other. And Madat-i-Masa, that means in charge of the appointment of the local judge or the judges. That means this department, ministry department, would appoint local judges. So these three ministers occasionally came together as an advisory bodies of the Mughals or the Akbar. Now, Akbar with this and the other advisors shaped the administrative structures. Followed. So imperial officer in that way, recruitment was or were done, and ranking also were given by the Akbars, because Akbar started basically this kind of recruitment and include the royal groups of the Indian peoples, the royal groups of the other sections of the world, like Iran, Turkmenistan, Turkey, similar kind of things. Okay. Now coming to the information of the empire, the keeping of exact and detailed records was a major concern of the Mughal administration. Like the Mir Bakshi. Mir Bakshi was a very, very important, persons of the Akbar. So he supervised the corps of the court writers and recorded all kind of applications, document presented to the courts, and all imperial orders. Okay, even in additions, agents of the nobles. That means, suppose I am in nobles, I am holding the highest position, so I have some kind of PA or personal assistant. You can say the agents of the nobles, regional rulers recorded the entire proceeding of the administrations, and this all included in the Mughal chronicles. Even the news reports and important official documents traveled across the length and breadth of the regions under Mughal by imperial post. Even the round the clock relays of the foot runners carried papers rolled up in bamboo containers. That was that kind of in that time in this way the work of the postman was done. Like we have right now post offices or something like that. In that time it was not possible, na? So that's why in that way round the clock relay of foot runners were available who work as a messengers. Even the news report and important official documents, it was done by this kind of peoples. Okay, in that way from one place to another place they sending the informations, important documents, etc. Followed now beyond the center provincial administration. So Mughals empire was a huge, as you know. So it was not possible from the capital city only to control directly all the provinces. So that's why, like today's India, like India have 28 states right now, 9th union territories. So in that time, Mughals also divided the whole empire into several provinces. Followed? These provinces were also known as the Suba. Now, where the minister had their corresponding subordinate, that means they are also different kind of officers were appointed, like Diwan, Bakshi, Sadr, and the head of the each and every provinces was the governor. He was known as the Subedar. Okay, who reported directly to the emperor. If you compare with the present day example, like the governor of the east state reported to the central government on behalf of the states. Similarly. Point number two, the sarkars. That means each and every province or the suba had been divided into many sarkars. Like today, every state has been divided into many districts. Okay. So here also officers were recruited for the jurisdiction, like Faujdar they appointed, and musketeers in the every districts. So the local administrations was looked after at the levels of the pargana. Pargana is a one kind of sub district, like North Chobis Pargana or South Chobis Pargana. Okay. So in here also some kind of hereditary officers also were appointed, like Kanungo, who kept the revenue records. Okay, Chaudhuri in charge of the revenue collections, and the Kaji. Okay, so these three officers were appointed or recruited in the sub district, who kept records in details day to day. Now, each department of the administrations maintain a large support of the supporting staffs, like clerk, accountants, auditors, messengers, other functionaries, or definitely they were qualified, and you know Persian was made the language of the administrations throughout. So that's why local language were used for the village accounts only. Mughal chronicles basically, portrayed the emperor and his court as controlling the entire administrations, apparatus down to the village level. Okay, so provincial administration. Again, I am reciting that the whole Mughal empire was divided into several provinces. Every provinces has a appointed, peoples or officers. The head of the province was Subedar, or you can say governor, and under the Subedar, Diwan, Bakshi, and Sadar was present. And every province was divided into several sarkars. Sarkar means district, and many departments also be there, and many people were recruited, for day-to-day activities. And each and every circus also divided into sub-district, or you can say the parganas. This pargana were, yeah, were controlled by three semi-hereditary officers. Kanungo means the revenue, who keeping the revenue records. Then Chaudhuri, in charge of the revenue collection, and the Kaji. And later on the village level, village headman was there. Followed? This was the provincial administrations. Now, beyond the frontiers, that means, writers of the chronicles of Mughals listed many high-sounding titles, which was assumed by the Mughal emperors, like Sahensa. Who assumed the title Sahensa? Shah Jahan, or specifically assumed by the individual kings also, like the Jahangir. Jahangir is the title. His name was, I think, Selim. Selim assumed the title Jahangir. That means world Caesar, or Shah Jahan, Sahensa. Okay. Even the chroniclers who written the chronicles often drew on this kind of titles and their meanings to reiterate the claims of the Mughal emperors. For what? To unconstated territorial and political control. That means they were the one and only in the world who came here to rule, and no one could raise the voice against them. Followed. Now, the political and diplomatic relations were also very important for the Mughals. Okay, so that's why Mughal kings and neighboring countries like Iran and Turan, they had hint on the control of the frontier defined by the Hindu Kush mountain. That means in that a mutual agreement that Hindu Kush mountain was the boundary of the India. Okay, and then all conquerors who sought to make their way into the Indian subcontinent had to cross the Hindu Kush mountain. If anyone want to come, if anyone want to invade the India, then they had to come through the Hindu Kush. So that's why constant aim of the Mughal policy was to protect this Hindu Kush mountain. Okay, from the Kabul and the Kandahar, because Kandahar was the bone of continuation between the Safavid kingdoms of the Iran and the Mughals. So fortress or fortified towns you can find out there. It was done by the Humayuns, and which was reconquered once again 1595 by the Akbar. Now Safavid court or Safavid kingdom retained diplomatic relations or maintained the diplomatic relations with the Mughals and continued to stock claims that Kandahar is mine, Kandahar is mine. In 1613, when Jahangir sent a diplomatic delegates to the court of the Shah Abbas, who was the leader of the Iran, for retaining Kandahar, but the mission was failed by the Jahangir. So in the winter 1622, a Persian army captured the Kandahar. So in that way, this kind of frontier problems were there. Sometimes Mughal owned, sometimes Iranian owned. Okay. Now we'll talk about the Ottoman Turkey Empire. The relationship between the Mughals and the Ottomans definitely, was marked by the concern to ensure free movement for what? Merchants and pilgrims, because in the Ottoman Turkey Empire, within the Ottoman Turkey Empire, the pilgrim center of the Muslim was there, okay, which was under control of the Ottomans. So that's why Mughals wanted, to maintain the good relations with them. So this was especially true for the, Hijaz, the part of the Ottoman Arabia, as you know, Mecca and Medina. So Mughal emperor usually basically combined religion and commerce by exporting valuable merchandise goods to Aden and the Mecca. Okay, through Red Sea port. So they had to maintain, Mughal had to maintain the good relations with them. Otherwise, it was not possible for them to go for the. Now Jesuits, at the Mughal courts. Europeans received knowledge of the India through different kind of accounts, which was written by the Jesuit missionaries. Jesuit actually former of the Christian religion. Okay, Jesuit missionaries, travelers, merchants, and diplomats. So Jesuit accounts was the earliest, impressions of the Mughal court. European knew about them. Okay, so following the discovery of the direct sea route of the India, when at the end of the 15th century, 1498, as you all know, this Portuguese merchant Vasco da Gama, established the trading network station in the coastal cities. Now, Portuguese king also interested in the propagation to spread the religion of the Christianity with the help of the missionaries of the society of the Jesus. They were called the Jesuits. Okay, so Christian mission in India during the 16th century, 16th century, was the part of the trade and commerce, because with they also wanted to do trade and commerce, and side by side they also sent the the Jesuit missions to spread the Christian religion in the India. So Jesuit accounts actually based on personal observation of them and shed light on the character and the mind of the emperors. Now, at the public assemblies, the Jesuits were assigned place in close proximity to Akbar's throne because Akbar believed in the humanity, Akbar believed in the tolerances. Okay, so that's why he did this. So, in this way, we have seen that in Mughal court, Jesuit missions became successful when Akbar was on the throne. Okay, I hope understood. So, thank you very much. I hope you have understood this chapter. This chapter has been finished, and if any kind of questions or any kind of information requires, definitely you can call me at any times, and I am posting the questions answer from this chapter also as well as. So thank you very much. Stay happy and stay safe.